This session will explore Kerala's remarkable journey and future potential in becoming a prominent center for medical device manufacturing and innovation. Moderating this session is Sri C. Padmakumar, Special Officer at Kerala Medical Technologies Cluster, a key driver in nurturing Kerala's medtech ecosystem.
Our esteemed panelists include Dr. Usha Tekerath, Managing Director of Surgical Innovations, University of California, San Francisco. Dr. Harikrishna Varma, Head, Biomedical Technology Wing, Sri Chitra Tirunal Institute for Medical Sciences and Technology, Trivandrum. Dr. Satishan B., Director, Malabar Cancer Center, Government of Kerala. Mr. Piyush Das, Country Director and General Manager, Higher Biomedical India. Please join us in warmly welcoming Shri C. Padmakumar and our distinguished panelists to this session.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'd first like to welcome our distinguished panel to this session. And I think short introduction would be in order because we have a very high power panel with us. First off is Dr. Usha Tekerath, MD. She's a physician, scientist, innovator, and entrepreneur with over 3 decades of experience in academia and industry. Currently, Program Director, Surgical Innovations at the University of California, San Francisco. Also, Director of the UCSF Stanford Pediatric Device Consortium. She has numerous accomplishments to her name. She is an academic, a researcher. She has worked in the medical device industry, in R&D, and she's also worked in contract R&D for very large medical device companies like Medtronic. Dr. Usha is also very familiar with Kerala. She is also one of the founding members of the Kerala Medical Technology Consortium, which I currently lead. I'd like you to welcome Dr. Usha to this panel discussion. Next on is Dr. Harikrishna Varma, Head of the Biomedical Technology Wing of Sri Chitra Tirunal Institute for Medical Sciences and Technology, Trivandrum. He's a PhD from the Regional Research Laboratory, Trivandrum. He joined SET IMST in 1993. He is currently engaged in the research and development of various bioactive ceramics and technologies of bioceramic-based bone implants. These have been transferred to several different industries. He has extensive research experience across the globe, ranging from Nagoya, Japan, to the University of London, to Kaiserslautern in Germany, to the Technical University at Dresden, and again in Nagoya, Japan. We work very closely actually with Dr. Varma and his team, and KMTC has been privileged to be associated with him. He's also a past president of the Society for Biomaterials and Artificial Organs, and elected as a fellow of the Biomaterial Science and Engineering by the International Union of Societies of Biomaterial Scientists. Please welcome Dr. Varma. Dr. Satishan Balasubramanian is currently the director of the Malabar Cancer Center, one of the leading cancer hospitals in the country. A distinguished surgical oncologist. His areas of expertise are in bone and soft tissue malignancies, gynecologic and colorectal cancers, and urological cancers. He is a member of the planning committee of the Kerala University of Health Sciences, a member of the academic council of the Kerala University of Health Sciences. He is also on the committee on health of the Kerala State Planning Board, and he has numerous research publications to his name, 86 in fact, and 2 US patents. He's currently also handling 2 clinical trials as the principal investigator. Please welcome Dr. Satheeshan. And last but definitely not least, Piyush Das, Country Director and GM, India and South Asia of Higher Biomedical. Higher Biomedical, I think, doesn't need much introduction. It is a global medical device company of course, Chinese origin. And Piyush has been a very successful leader of his company. His resume actually reads like a who's who of the medical device industry. I think you will recognize some of these names. Thermo Fisher Scientific, Head of Product Marketing and Market Development, Smith & Nephew Regional Manager, Medtronic, and GE Healthcare. I think that says it all. So having this very distinguished panel here, I thought what we would try and look at is, what is the situation of Kerala as an aspiring medical device hub? So you've heard something about our ambitions in the, I think, first half. You've heard the Principal Secretary Industries. There was a very illuminating panel discussion which was chaired by Mr. Balagopal, which also threw light on the subject. We are fortunate in that we have all these spokes of the medical device ecosystem: research, academia, healthcare delivery, that's the hospital side, and industry represented right here. So, I think these are people who have extensive experience. They're not startups or 21-year-old novices. They have seen the world, they have vast experience, and I think we will be able to learn quite a bit from them. So I'll start with one question to each of you. I'll start with Dr. Usha. Kerala has ambitions in becoming a medical device hub. We know that the medical device industry flourishes when it operates in clusters. There are no known clusters in India today. We have some nascent clusters in Kerala. From your experience and your vantage point in California, and one of those major hubs, Dr. Usha, can you tell us what lessons does California hold for us?
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. And let me first thank you for kind introduction and welcome. And also the BioConnect team, congratulations to providing us this platform for discussions and learning from each other and networking. And I am really honored to share this stage with such accomplished fellow panelists. So as you mentioned in the introduction, one of the key programs I serve as the director currently is a UCSF Stanford Pediatric Device Consortium. So this is a FDA-funded program, which is a very rare thing even in US. The FDA is a regulatory agency, not a funding agency. But understanding the critical need in pediatric device development and innovation, how much it is lagging behind the adult device field and the pharma, they took the initiative to create a national program to fund it. And so currently we have 5 centers in this consortia program, and we regularly interact with each other. These 5 centers are situated in different parts of the country. UCSF Stanford is a key player, had been an important player since its inception in 2009. And we regularly interact with each other, share resources, support we primarily support startups, not the or UCSF innovators. We support the external startup innovators who are developing innovations for the pediatric population. And what we do is we regularly interact with FDA and with other consortia and other through our vast network of investors, other facilitators, one of the key players is the Fogarty Innovation. Unfortunately, Andrew couldn't be here today. Otherwise, we could have heard a lot more about this ecosystem. And the Bay Area or the Silicon Valley, as is most commonly known as, is a center of innovation and investment. But still, it's hard to get funding even there in the early stages. So that is a challenge. So we support the startups through our network, through our internal resources, and collaborating with other consortia in other parts of the country, and help them or guide them through this process, provide support in prototyping, guide customized advices, and connect them to appropriate resources in manufacturing or animal studies. Even in the clinical trial, in the pediatric clinical trials is even more challenging to get enough patients to prove that statistical significance. So we collaborate on that front as well.
So would it be fair to say then, Dr. Usha, that the consortium actually does whatever it takes to help a startup
Yes.
reach its goal?
Yes, so we, in the past more than a decade, we had at least some ways supported more than 300 startups or projects. Not all of them are in the market.
So you don't see your role as being limited to just some specific functions, but let's say, they may have a problem with clinical trials or with funding or with getting connection to industry. Whatever it is, you will help.
Yes, so we don't limit it to one clinical area or geographical distribution. We support anyone from US because it's an FDA supported program, so we cannot support international projects, but we primarily interact with them through our weekly innovators forum. So if anyone has an idea or project at different, maybe an early stage or more advanced one, they reach out to us, and then they will be invited to present at our weekly innovators forum, and then we understand their product or the technology, and then depending on their need and our resources, we provide appropriate support and guidance and connect them to the network, appropriate network.
Thank you. Dr. Varma, I'd like to come to you. Sri Chitra has an enviable reputation as the leading agency, the nodal agency for biomedical device development in the country. I think it is now about 50 years old, or next year you will be celebrating your 50th anniversary. You also have probably the unique record of having successfully commercialized many technologies which are now used in a very widespread manner, not just across the country, but even across the globe. This is not common, and we do not have that many successful models from India when it comes to medical device technology development. So it looks as if Chitra is doing something different, Chitra is doing something right. Could you share with us what is it that actually Chitra does that enables you to successfully commercialize technologies?
Thank you. First of all, thank you for inviting me to this very interesting and very important event. So, as you all know, Sri Chitra Institute of Medical Science and Technology, started by the great Professor M.S. Valiathan. He himself was a cardiac surgeon, and after coming back from US and start our own basis for the medical device development in this country. So, first of all, the organization of the institute itself has helped in achieving this. So it's not the clinicians alone, it is the researchers, it is the industry. We have our Dr. Balgopal is also here, the first industrialist who was really shown and helped Chitra to make a significant stamp in this medical device translation and the product level by putting the blood bag into the industry. So as you correctly asked me, whether in the research, the development, research and development happens, and logically in consultation with the clinicians. Ultimately, one of the major challenges that many researchers in the advanced area of research, they never have a chance, or they don't go regularly to clinicians to correctly check the significance and logic of why this is really needed. So in Chitra, we always have a unmet need. This is coming mainly from the clinicians. It may be cost, it may be non-availability, it may be ease of application, various things are. But that is the starting point. And very significantly, clinicians think very qualitatively with respect to but whereas scientists will be quantitatively or the different. So this message, when they say it's smooth, we should be able to translate it in whatever the engineering language. So this type of a very constant interaction with this one, each one. As a material scientist, just after my PhD or postdoc, I just joined this institute. I can make several materials, but the thing is that I was concentrating last maybe 30 years on a single area of materials which has got a significance in the orthopedics. So the advantage is that a lot of clinicians are there. We interact regularly with this one. What are the need of this material? How this can be used? And ultimately, we should have industry. That is the most important thing. They should be able to sell the product some certain period of time. They cannot keep on doing research alone. So whether you have to have the first level of material so that we can start, then this is also a reason. Whether you cannot start with a class D device or a high-risk device, which we may take again 10 years or so. So this is a combination of industry, clinicians, and this one, how to pitch on these areas and other things. So we select mainly because of these discussions and which are the areas to be opened up, so that we, as you correctly said, R&D is the most important. That has to be the investment which we really do, and then with the industry we can further go. And there is one more point I want to add. You previously, a new word called TRL, Technology Readiness Level. Chitra were trying to do it up to 8 or level. But now in the new medical device regulations, and we have to start with the 3 or 4 with the industry, so that we can fast make the product or whatever the realization of the much fast.
Thank you, Dr. Verma. And this, reminds me of what Mr. Tim Rowe said today morning. A very interesting graph that he showed us about the correlation between the physical distance between professors' desks and collaboration. So I think your, narration of what happens in Chitra also bears that out. So it is not sufficient for us to just have online meetings and, remote calls. That physical proximity seems to be a very critical element.
Exactly. And one more thing is that this Chitra, because when we started in the first phase, we were not thinking about the quality standards and everything. Now in the new this one, we went to French accreditation agency for all the biomedical evaluation. Because if you make a device which has to be exported or accepted by the higher levels, it should have a standard protocol for even testing everything. So we have an international platform which is acceptable to everybody. So this is also as a spin-off when we go ahead.
Thank you. Dr. Satheeshan, just taking off from where Dr. Verma left off, it's very clear that the interaction between the researcher, the industry, and the clinician is key. That's what Dr. Verma has told us. And I think that's what Dr. Usha was also referring to. As a surgical oncologist, you face numerous problems, I'm sure, in the hospital setting. So I just want to understand from you, you may be having problems of appropriateness of device. It might be, otherwise the device is fine, but maybe the cost is simply not, within our framework. And I'm sure that there must be numerous kinds of problems that you face. So one, from your standpoint as a user of many of these devices, what kind of problems and challenges do you face? The second question, which is related to this first one, or maybe if you could respond to this, and then I'll follow up with my second question.
At the outset, thank you for this opportunity. And regarding as a clinician, And when we talk about technology and bring it, one of the problems when we talk to researchers, because researchers do approach us with a solution, or the startups do approach with a solution saying that we have developed something. And when we look at it, the problem is mine. But my problem is detected by somebody else without discussing with me, and they're bringing it a product and asking me to use it. I may not use that at all. I'll give you two stories. Recently, one of the startups, they brought in one major problem which I identified among the clinicians, especially among the nurses, was the number of, because we set up the drip drops, so that it's around 50 ml it has to go, so we count the drips and then, because many times it may not be accurate. So they developed a device and which has to put it on that so that the accuracy could be detected. So they approached us to validate it, to clinically look at it, whether it is accurate or not. We did it, and we did a clinical trial, went to this committee, and we looked at us, around 90% accuracy is there. And then we gave the report to KDIS, yes, as far as accuracy is concerned, is good. Then I asked my nurses, if I purchase this, will you use it? They said, no, please don't purchase. Why? Because this is a headache for us. That is what they said. This is a big headache for us because each and every time it gives some alarms and all those things. Every time we have to run and look for that. So the problem is that because we have got better devices already in the market, which people are very well known. For example, digital infusers are there and this one. So this is not what because they spend a lot of time on it. And then I call those guys and ask them, so how did you find? So they had one or two chats with somebody, so they suggested that. Problem is that this is not which, now they are working on the modifications and taking it upward. Similarly, another research organization, and they worked on something in early detection of cancer. And that's on the pap smear, for example, cervical cancer. Unfortunately, we are moving away from pap smear. We are going to HPV. So this is not going to stay there. The entire thing they put on all their effort on it is not going to stay, because if you bring in a device, I'm not going to use it, because I will look at it HPV. So I want something which is something like a card test where any lady can do a cell sampling and do a HPV testing. Say I've got HPV positive, I come for screening. This is what I like. So had they come initially to a clinician, the clinician would have given a proper perspective. So all their efforts and everything, they could have gone to that side. So this is one of the problems. Second aspect, now coming to the industry side. Often industries, they create another replica of another already existing device. Many times we feel it's always better to have a chronic discussion with clinicians, because some of the things which we need, some of the things which are already in the existing device, we may not be having it, but we have certain problems, it has to be solved. So any new device, either it should be so low in the cost, or it should have some value addition. It should provide some of the problems which I faced in the earlier equipment, and that is what we look at it. So these are the two things which we, major things which we looked at it. Again, for our country, we always talk about affordability and accessibility. And if it has to be uniformly accessible to everybody, universally affordable. But major thing what I wanted to reiterate is that availability of the indigenous thing is more important. Then only you can really work on the cost, because healthcare cost is so huge. And probably Kerala may be an exception in as far as this disparity is concerned, haves and not haves, because the government puts a lot of efforts. And because, for example, classical example, the robotic surgery that is, which is available only in corporate hospitals, in government hospitals available. Now, I think we literally 1/3, 1/4 of the cost we do in robotic surgery for advanced cancer surgeries, we do it for patients. I think any not haves, they come in and get it done. But that is not state in entire India. So we have to look at these aspects. So that is one of the things.
Thank you, Dr. Satheeshan. I now come to Piyush, who represents industry. So, Piyush, what we would like to understand is what is Hire's policy and approach to R&D one quality. Do you have a very substantial in-house R&D group, or do you rely a lot on external institutions and like Sri Chitra or any other international national institutions and universities, or is it a mix of? So we'd like to give us an idea about that. And second, what challenges, if any, do you face in getting products to market? Because one challenge that we are talking about here today is really, it's all very well to develop new products and technologies. And we've heard from Dr. Satheeshan what he thinks about the problems. So the second problem also. So one is about the R&D of Hire, and second about your success in entering markets?
Sure. I think with this question, you're asking the whole mantra of the business that any corporate probably does. So let me begin by first congratulating the whole BioConnect team for organizing this fantastic conclave and then curating this panel, which actually speaks to the theme of connecting science to business. I think we have people from science and from business who are kind of meeting it together. And thank you, Mr. Padmakumar, for driving this session post-lunch. I know post-lunch sessions are normally the most difficult ones, but I think you are driving it fantastically well. So quickly coming to the first part of your question that speaks about Haier. Haier in India, probably we all know it as a appliances company, but Haier is also a global medical company as well into different kind of medical equipmentations and instruments. Coming to the R&D piece, let me share a quick stats of the Haier R&D. Haier spends right now, Haier Biomedical spends right now approximately $75 million in R&D, which contributes to 13% of their total spend.
13%.
Yes. And they have around 800 plus scientists right now working to develop the new products, which is almost equal to 30%, 29 to 30% of the total workforce that Haier Biomedical has. It's one of the growing and fastest growing organizations. In India, of course, we have recently started the commercial operations. And when it comes to the partnership model that you're talking about, Haier does partnerships with different kind of institutes. Yes, the answer is yes. And still there is a lot of scope to do. Right now, a major work of Haier's R&D and innovation happens in-house. We were listening to, I think, Mr. Ari before this, where he was talking about how the Chinese companies are so centric about their timelines, their innovations, and their way of working. That has been the philosophy or the basis of Haier, and they follow something called as a Ren Den Hai model, which is their driving theme or driving principle. And that's where they meet timelines and innovations. But now, when they're becoming a more global organization, reaching out to different parts of the world, they are starting to partner with different organizations. I hope I've answered the first part of your question. Coming to the second part, where you said that how can we take it from the labs to the market, right? There is, I think, one very core thing that probably we heard in the morning also, that innovation cannot happen in silos. Therefore, we need an ecosystem. And this ecosystem needs to be driven by three major parts of any country, which includes the academics, the research, of course, the industry, because that will be the arm, and third, the government and the policies. I think when the three starts working in tandem, like a gear, I think then automatically a lot of silos will be broken, and the markets automatically will see that products will start getting commercialized. During this event itself, I happened to, this is a practical experience, I happened to meet a lot of researchers as well as people from the commercial or the corporate background, and everybody did have that same gap or same question that, yes, we do see that there is a gap that's existing. What do we do about it? So I think it's time that we stop kind of discussing it and probably building some roads around it so that we can take it out. Industry, of course, can help on multiple ways. Like commercialization is one part of it. But what industry has been doing for the last couple of years, if you see in the medtech space, we are connecting the scientists across the globe. There are a lot of trials, a lot of papers, a lot of innovations which are being shared cross-country, so that if there's a good practice happening in the Western countries or probably in the far Asian countries, how can India work around it? So these are certain more stronger options that the industry can provide to the research panels. And I think the way Kerala is building its ecosystem, plus how India's policies are now driving, I think it's going to happen sooner than later. So I think we have a very positive hope to see how the overall India is now grooming and developing itself to reach that level.
Thanks, Piyush. How much time do I have? I think this first round has, given us some really good food for thought. And I want to follow this up with a few questions which are not going to be the same to each of the panelists. But it's basically trying to follow up on what has gone before. And very succinctly, Dr. Usha, since we need to also be a little mindful of the time, so to each of the panelists, my request is please keep your comments as crisp as possible. You are quite familiar with the Kerala medical device landscape, Dr. Usha. You're also equally familiar with what is happening in the US. You know the differences. You know what are our strengths, what are our weaknesses. What is your advice to Kerala? What are those 2 or 3 top things you think we should focus on for our medical device industry to really flourish?
Very good question. So I was really happy to hear in the morning panel from the entrepreneurs who have done it very successfully in Kerala. And as many of them mentioned, we have a really good educated talent pool here that as a Kerala trained physician, I am very proud of the healthcare delivery system, healthcare institutions here. We should take advantage of those. At the same time, I believe most of us here in this, we don't have yet to develop an ecosystem and a collaborative work environment, I would say. What I have seen in US is that even in the college education or even from the high school, they have been exposed to some level these areas, and they have opportunity to get some voluntary exposure. If they are interested in medtech innovation, they have opportunity to get exposure, and then very good collaboration between clinicians and clinical institutions and industry. That has been in practice for a long time. Maybe it didn't happen quickly. It took a while to get to that environment and ecosystem. And that is what we have been trying to do through KMTC as an umbrella institution, trying to connect these institutions and innovators who are doing it in silos, connect them and collaborate better and fill in the gaps. And yeah.
So my understanding, Dr. Usha, from what you said is organizations like KMTC, what we can at best do is facilitate,
Yes.
Bring people together. And from what we heard in the morning during quite a few of the sessions, it seems very clear that really good science and technology doesn't happen, according to some grand plan. You can at best prepare the conditions. And then you have to get the right people in the room and then allow whatever happens, happens. So I think that's a very valid point. Thank you for that. Dr. Verma, your experience of working across the globe in different, you've seen the differences. And while you have undoubted accomplishments in India, I'm sure you must have also had your fair share of frustrations working in India. What would you recommend we focus on in Kerala to make sure that we attract many more young people into research, into industry, into the academic side, and get more young doctors interested in technology?
Very, very valid point, because as the KMTC is doing, across we have several discussions with all these stakeholders, which is happening. Is a great initiative. What I am saying is previously this was not happening, as Dr. Satish was correctly mentioned, because in the silos we tried to make some thinking that this has got a lot of potential, but without having these two parties, whether the clinicians and that is one of the major problem, because most of this science which we create with the good publications is still in there, it is in the shelf, because it is not translatable in many sense. So there is no easy way. So my own experience, I can tell you, when we get the feedback from the clinicians and started working, this is an investment. Maybe that research may take about 2 or 3 days, 3 years of work. Then we have to start at sometime industry is there, whether there is a synergy type of thing. This can be approached through many more events like that. They invite them and other thing, whether you are interested in. This is not a there's not immediate solution, which we have to create the whole thing. So the thing is that one of the thing is that at what time this has to, because we can have a classical biomaterials or the type of thing where predicate devices, so that we can be translated faster, or an innovative one, or a futuristic one. So, but it all takes its own time to realize into the product. So, definitely we have to have more industry which is already having a base. For example, in industry with a adhesive or making one, whether they can have a wound dressing material or something which they may be easy for them. But only problem, nobody connects them, because my question is that if you have a class A, B, C, D, so A product will not make you more than maybe 200 times profit. Whereas if you have a class or with a deep tech involving, you will have 1,000 times or something. So that is why, because that experience, we have to create that environment. These efforts are good, but it's not easy as such. But there is this message of saying that with a class, very, very strong research as well as testing and the raw materials. One of the things most of our researchers never think is the raw materials. They may develop a good technology, but nobody, it's not going. So I just wanted to have, because in Kerala we can have a lot of bio-based product. So one of our product of hard valve, bioprosthetic valve, our first was we go to Meat Products of India, create an environment, create a lab there to harvest the fish tissue. Unless otherwise the raw material is not there, your whole research is going. So this is my problem is that as a researcher, I have to think all this. So, and as these type of agencies like KMTC is going to make that effort much more easier. So maybe these fruits will be within maybe 5 years or something, we'll be able to really see that.
Thank you, Dr. Verma. Dr. Satish, my follow-up question is, so it is slightly different. You have set up an incubation center in MCC. I believe it is a pioneering venture. It is the first such one in a medical college in the state. What made you set it up, and very quickly, what has been your experience, and what do you need to actually make it successful?
Thanks. Actually, we are very fortunate to have an incubation innovation center. The entire journey started as a serendipity, because I happened to meet an administrative officer of a central government organization in a train, and we had discussion on what he is doing in his institution. Then he said they are very good in CIMAT, they are very good in doing thermistors and sensors and all those things. So I said, okay, I'll visit that place, because I got down and visited their institution, had discussion with them. But they are working with the space technology. Their only job was to Mangalyaan and Chandrayaan, that's sensors they were supplying. So we had visited that, then I looked at it, because they can sense the temperature difference of 0.002. So then I suggested this is something which we wanted to see that in breast cancers, because the cancer cells produce more heat, so whether we can detect it. They said this is fine, possible. Because in community, whenever we do clinical screening, women do not come for screening, because when we had a survey on why they are not coming, the main reason is that they don't have any problem. Second thing, why should they come to communities to show their breast to somebody else? Then we thought if it could be detected at home, some device, wearable device that they wear inside home, and so somebody, a basic healthcare worker like Asha, in their laptop or palm top, it gets some abnormality in the breast. So can they refer the patient over here? So this is where we started, and that particular thing, it's just got, went miles ahead, and it became a technology, and that technology was transferred, and now a Japanese company has taken over that. That is actually in the screening out this. This actually gave us a confidence. So we thought, yes, there are people who listen to us, they listen to a problem, and who can work with us closely, because I was not, for the entire languages, Greek and Latin for me, and similarly what we talk, they also don't understand. But when we had multiple, because they visited us and so this is something which we started off. Then we started discussing with good things as the KMTC and Kerala Startup Mission and KDIS. We had multiple discussions. I got an MOU with them. Then main problem is that I have to impress upon our faculty that this is something which we have to do it. But they strongly believe this is something which is out of their way, because it's only because we are interested in clinical research. Why we should look at the medical technology? So for that, we started something like an ideathon in the institution. As I started, a lot of nurses participated, technicians participated, doctors participated, and this one we took it as a follow-up. Then I should thank Mr. Padmkumar because he and his team actually evaluated all those ideas and they said, okay, these are some of the things. Then we presented, we done a hackathon there. The startups came, and good thing is that in that hackathon, an IIT group, students came. Today morning, they said they cracked some of the problem what we suggested. So that is something, this Sunday I'm going to have a meeting with them. So this is what it created. So, and we created some competition like that. So main thing is that then we started, capacity building. So we trained them, and now it is as mandatory. I put certain things as a mandatory. For example, artificial intelligence training is mandatory for all academic stuff. We should know what it is. And we say, now it is time. If we don't adopt technology, I think we will be left behind. And healthcare is one area that technology can literally bring in this accessibility and affordability and the gap between the care. Everything could be brought in if the technology is in. So this is how we started the incubation center. Talasheri is a very small place, to be frank, in a village, to getting startups over there. But we started something like virtual space, so people can discuss. Good thing is that all those startups which started incubating with us, one startup has come out with the product now, and already that's in the commercialized. And other people, they have some ideas when they came. Then we could fine tune it and we can bring them. So then that is us taking up. So that response is good. So, and a very important thing I want to say, to be successful, often the doctors are blamed for that. No, they are not cooperating. The main problem is that there are a lot of gray areas. For example, if I have to give, for a startup approaches me and I want a health data. So what is the system for providing health data? Do you have a policy on that? That is not the thing. Second thing, how the doctors are going to research, because we need, a doctor cannot do research alone. Yesterday I was in a meeting, as I said that, because the main problem is that we have clinicians, we are teachers, and we are, administrators. We need a separate team to work on the research. So MCC has a clinical trial unit. We set it up, around 15 guys are working on that. Only thing my job is to give an idea to them. So they will work on it and they'll bring the raw data. Then I have to work on that, give multiple levels, they develop it as a protocol. So if it is done in medical colleges and all, volume is plenty. For example, clinical material is plenty. We have enough of problems. Nobody will have as many problems anywhere. So plenty of problems. So such an ecosystem, this is something. We need a policy. We need certain, this one. So that's how it goes.
Thank you. And Piyush, finally to you. You heard the discussion today. You heard all the discussions in the morning. And would you, after what you have heard, consider, engaging with the Mint Incubation Center and Malabar Cancer Center or the Sri Chitra Tirunal Institute or the dozens of high-quality university departments and research institutions that we have in Kerala?
Well, if I were to put the answer, I would say absolutely. That there is, like I said, there is a lot of things happening, a lot of things going on right now in India and in Kerala, of course. So certainly, partnership is something that I would certainly be looking at. Not only me, any company for that matter would look forward to this kind of partnerships. I would probably just add one more point here, Mr. Padmkumar. Normally, whenever we look at, say, investing anywhere, or maybe going more depth in that particular bucket, we look at three things primarily. One, how cost effective it is. Two, how simple it is. It should be not very complicated. So the policies should not be complicated. And third, how scalable it is. If we are fitting in these three requirements, be it something as simple as launching a product to as complicated as or as big as investing in a particular market, all decisions are typically taken when these three questions are answered in the best way. If any of these questions get stuck, then probably we hold back. So if the policies support us, why not?
So I hope by the end of BioConnect tomorrow evening, you will tick all three boxes and say that you are convinced. I think we are almost out of time. Is there time for a few questions from the audience? Yes, please. Any questions from the audience?
Hi, my name is Rohit. I work with Padmkumar sir in the Kerala Medical Technology Consortium. And my question would be to Piyush. So Piyush, you're a global biomedical devices company. Could you demystify the process that probably hires business development team goes through in selecting a destination for investment. Let's say you're setting up a new plant or an R&D center. Can you shed light on what kind of a process do you follow? How much time does it take?
Thanks for that question. I think in the interest of time, I probably wouldn't be able to go through the entire details of it, but like I said, that we first do an analysis of how much a potential of that particular market is. The first thing that we call as a market potential analysis. So we understand that even if we are planning to invest there or if we are planning to go in there, in the future also how much of the potential it will have, which normally is called as TAM or total addressable market analysis. The second thing that we typically want to do is that with the kind of investment that we are looking at, the kind of products that we have, how much of that market we will be able to capture in the beginning. So I'm going a little more commercial here. So I'll just say that that is called as SAM analysis, or what we call as a serviceable addressable market. Out of the total addressable, we go to a small chunk of the market. And the final thing is that it is not practical to capture the 100% market in any given period of time. Even if you spend 20, 30, 50, 100 years, you will still have a certain share of the market, not the entire one. Therefore, we finally do the analysis of something called as SOM, or the serviceable obtainable market. Once we are able to do this TAM, SAM, SOM analysis, we decide which particular market or which particular geography, which particular institute, which particular product to invest in. The first major chunk of our work is doing a strong data analysis, and basis on that, we take the database decisions. The rest of the things, probably we can speak more. There's a lot about it, but yeah, this is how we begin the process of the business development.
Yeah, I'm Dr. Habib. So I'm very happy to hear all your speech. In fact, my question to Dr. Satish and Dr. Usha, because basically you are a clinical practitioners, and we belongs to material science and engineering background. What I've seen that there's a big gap between the clinicians and the engineering or materials people, especially in Kerala and India. And since you have great talent, what I felt, doctors are not that much connected with the other spectrum, except Sri Chitra, like Verma sir, have that opportunity to interact with the clinician. So my question to both of you that, how do you popularize and make an ambassador for clinicians? Because they focus more onto the clinical things. They won't much believe or doesn't have that trust when we come up with some materials, because I know there's a lot of ethical practice, all things. So how do you make sure to be an ambassador for a clinical, more doctor side to
So I
get
think
bridging between us?
Dr. Satishan or Dr. Verma, could you please?
The important thing is that because we have to make people believe that this work. So when we go and talk to engineers many times, or because I know that in our polymer science, if you talk about polymers, I will know nothing about it, to be frank. And I don't know what it is. Similarly, when I talk about disease, you also don't understand. So, but we have to reach certain area where we can understand the language, both each other's language well. So for that, generally what we do is that because now, it is not that. I've got around 5 or 6 engineering organizations that, have already signed MOU with us, and we're working together, not just signing MOU, working with us. Similarly, other research organizations are working. Sritres is another organization. We've got a lot of good things are happening out there. Main thing is that you have to see the problem. If I have a problem, what I will suggest, I will ask you to come and see my problem in my place, understand what it is. And I will also come to your place to see that what your capability, what your materials, and some of the things. And without this very close interaction, just online meetings will not. Online meetings we do, that is only after initial. So this, the connection, that bonding, which has to happen. If the bonding, you have to start trusting me, I should start trusting you, then only this will work. Otherwise, it will not work. And similarly, we strongly believe, because we just analyzed our MOUs with many organizations, nearly 60% working, 40% are not working. So we said, okay, no more MOUs with these organizations, nothing will work. Okay. So then only if it is working then. But again, for working, low-hanging fruits is what we look at it. Something which we both can do immediately. Yeah. Then it develops confidence. If I'm looking for something really big and then going, I will lose my energy, you will lose your energy. Ultimately, there will be a big miscommunication and communication gap. So these are two simple principles by which work. And as I said, because now around 10, 15 of my, out of 60 doctors, 15 of them are into this. Now another, all those will slowly join, and even nurses are there, and some technicians are there, so the people have joined. So that is something we give the ownership to them also, and my job is only to facilitation. Problem, solve it. They don't need to solve the problem.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think we are out of time, so Dr. Would you like to add something?
So I was really happy to hear from my friend Dr. Benavan that with the support of KMTC and Kerala Startup Mission, government has approved the setting up the Innovation Entrepreneurship Development Centers in medical colleges. I hope that that will provide a venue for clinicians and other professionals, engineers and business personnel to interact more and understand each other's needs or capabilities better.
Thank you, Dr. Usha. Thank you all. I'd like to once again thank all our distinguished panelists and the audience for patiently listening to us. Thank you.
Thank you to our panelists and moderator for their valuable insights and thoughtful contributions. Now I request Sri Padmakumar to hand over the memento to the panelists. I invite the panelists, Dr. Usha Tekedatha, Dr. Harikrishna Verma, Dr. Satishan B, Mr. Piyush Das. I invite Dr. Adandra Das Gupta to hand over the memento to Sri C. Padmakumar.